It's like every time there's an audio issue. Anyway, I was talking about yeah, I was talking about this project. I was saying like I'm working on this strawberry slug thing that's been going since April, I think, when I was doing um, a session which was like the animator's way, kind of a riff off the artist way, and just kind of trying to create an environment where people can get support on a project that they want to do, a personal project. And my sort of thing, although it's not really for me because I'm running the course and helping people out, but I was like, I need a project as well that goes along. So I tried to pick something really simple. And the simple thing was this, which is what I was explaining to silence in the other video, which nobody could hear. But I was basically saying it's like based off these my little boy, who's now 2.5 nearly, but when he was a little baby, teaching him, well, saying words, trying to get a laugh out of him, like blueberry, strawberry, gooseberry, and things like that, and banana, and really exaggerating kind of the phonics and different things. But hello, thank you for trying again, persisting with me. So yeah, those different things, those sounds that I was making to a baby that was making him laugh. Strawberry was one of the ones that he giggled at, and then the word slug, which I'm guessing contrast wise makes it funny. So hence a song was born that I made up that was like strawberry slug, strawberry, and I just used to sing this song to him, and he'd kind of like bop along with it a little bit. So I thought it'd be fun to make an animated thing for it. So I'm using Callipeg because I like to, when I'm learning new software, I like to just have a little project to kind of like, it's not like an open-ended thing. Then you're trying to learn something without parameters. It's like walk cycles. When people do walk cycles, you're like, yeah, that's cool, but where's, what's your character feeling? Where's it going? What's this given circumstances and the situation? That totally challenges you as an animator compared to just making something move. It's like learning to drive a car and then driving the car on a motorway with other cars and traffic and stuff. So that's what I try and do with the software, is give it parameters, and I'm like, what can it do? That's often good for me to kind of work out, how can I get this thing to do that? You end up filling in the gaps, making it work, rather than just throwing your hands up and throwing the software out the window or whatever. So this is it. So it's all created in this software. So the background was painted in here. The camera stuff, you can see there's some groups and some camera things going on there. This has got the onion skin on. You can see the roughs, and then the character zips back. I'm definitely not super efficient in this yet. I would say I don't have fat fingers, but I'm definitely not the most nimble person with digits. So when I'm using it and trying to control it, I've got an iPad Pro, so I think that's like quite a decent screen size. But still, sometimes when I press like the shortcut to get up the copy paste pop-up thing, I just can't get it to work. If you watch the other stream that failed, it was it basically, I ended up chopping the character in half, which was not useful. And then often nowadays they do away with, like, I mean, there's undo and redo buttons here on the left side, but sometimes you forget where they are, or they just aren't there, or they're hard to find, and you use the two finger thing to undo, whatever, like 2 fingers tap. So anyway, I'm still figuring stuff out. I think for me, one of the things that's difficult is to understand, like, I still don't really get how I copy stuff properly. Get rid of that. But I do like this software. I think it's very capable. And I think the only way I'd really improve it was have more screen real estate, because the timeline, I almost want the timeline on a different window, just because it gets quite hard to navigate. But I've not used it loads. So what I'm doing here is I was actually trying to copy this as a reference, but I couldn't manage it. So instead, I'm just redrawing it quickly. I'm going to turn off the roughs and give myself a proportion. And I'm just going to move that over here, because I actually want to change the pen, the brush, try and find the one I had. So what I was saying is, what's everybody up to? What are they doing? Oh, it's in development for Mac and Windows. That's cool. Yeah, so Angus has just said that this software is in development for computers. I mean, I do love the fact that I can animate on an iPad, you know, that's so cool. What the heck is going on here? Oh, it's because, silly boy, got it set down to a very low setting. Oh, amazing, Alex, you finally found a compositor. That's awesome. Did you ask and the universe provided? Yeah, that looks like the same one. It's really cool. I mean, I think it's so. Oh, what a cool. Yeah, that's a good meeting. Meeting at the Pride March. Yeah, like a good intersection of. It's funny, isn't it? It's a small world. I am kind of a believer in the fact that sometimes if you throw things out there and you're like, "I'm looking for this," and then it does pop up. Uh, there's something there about like I was keeping my eye out for it, and I don't know. It's a funny one how it works out so many times. So anyway, what I'm doing here is I've got this character. I've slightly changed the timing from the earlier animatic. I'm pretty sure Alex won't recognize this, but if you're eagle-eyed, you will. So originally he didn't spin around like this before he came down, but now I've cut out like a mid shot, and I'm just going from the wider shot to close up again to simplify it. So I've just quickly sketched that out for proportion, and I'm on my tie down, which isn't really tie down. It's kind of rough, but my rough was in lieu of almost storyboarding because I didn't do storyboards. And yeah, so anyway, I've just roughly made this size, and I'm gonna try and do the squash character now, but I am just gonna take a second to reply to people because I'm getting people say, "Hey, I went to watch your live stream and I can't see it." Right. Cool. Just telling everybody I messed up. Okay, so not drawing or animating at the moment, but just doing some cleaning. Oh, I love that. It's a good thing to have in the background. I'm a big fan of these like YouTube streams, or not always streams, but sometimes people edit them together, where they just kind of do like everyday stuff. There's something very like Asian philosophy, like Eastern philosophy about that, um, like the Marie Kondo tidying up sort of thing, and also then watching other people just do sort of chores with some nice music on. It's kind of it's like watching the tennis in the background. You're not really watching it, or the cricket, but it's there if you want to, and it helps you kind of, I don't know, soothes you a little bit. Yeah, and wanting to get back into animating, I think it's the same with me. I think with animation, because it can be such a big, or illustration or anything really, that you have quite a high bar for, it can be quite like it's going to be a lot of work, or I expect a lot of myself. And that's why this project for me was just about setting something like really easy to get started with, really rough. The iPad for me, I'm lucky I have an iPad, but it, realistically, sketching on a scrap of paper, a cheap notebook with a pen, doing little doodles. You don't have to animate the thing. You could do, okay, I'm going to do a 4-panel comic strip of my day, which is a Bruno Ivan Brunetti thing from the book Cartooning, which is really cool. And it makes you do one a day for a week, and it's meant to help you sort of work out how to tell stories in minimal amounts of effort. Right, let me sort this brush out because it's got too much smoothing on. Did I compete in art fight? No. There was an art battle down the road in Manchester, but I didn't know it was on until late, and then no, didn't do it. But I don't know what art fight is. Is this like a big thing? I did a live well, I've done a couple sketch sort of thing competition where you draw something, you get given a prompt, you draw it live, and then they whittle it down each round. I did one at like a bar kind of local place a couple of years ago, and my then girlfriend, now wife, joined in as well, but the public liked her more. I got knocked out, so I think she won actually. So bad career choice for me. Oh, cool. So apparently, Art Fight is a big online event in July, and you draw random characters, animate them. Yeah, cool. I love a bit of collaboration, so that sounds fab. Oh yeah, Mandy. Yeah, you missed it probably because I messed it up and I had to start a second stream. This is called Callipeg, Callipeg, and it's not a lot of money. I think it's a one-time purchase. It used to be a subscription app, you see, but they changed it, which I was a big fan of. This is great. It's a bit more complicated, just as a sort of public service announcement. It's a little bit more complicated than Rough Animator, for example. And you can use Rough Animator just if you just want to practice hand drawn animation. That's great. I mean, it's a great app anyway. I actually started doing a short film in that and animating rough in that, and then taking it into Harmony to sort of do the final stuff. Um, yeah, so it's kind of up to you. There's another one called Toon Squid, but I probably wouldn't say that's a good for like hand drawn. I mean, you can do it in it, but it's more vector based. It's a bit like Adobe. Oh yeah, you're mentioning Toon Squid. Yeah, it's a bit more like the old Adobe Flash. Well, what used to be Flash, now Animate. I've not really played with it much though, so I can't really say much. Is it good, Toon Squid? Do you? Because I found it a little bit complex. I opened up the demo project and I was like, oh, this is going to take me a while to get used to. But probably not too long, I guess. So we are going to go with get rid of that. Actually, we'll just erase it. So those are the things that I currently don't do very much, like being able to cut and copy and things. I'm not very fast at yet in this app. Oh, I've just managed to do it. Huh. Is it? Oh, it's two fingers tap and hold. Ah, that's why I was doing it wrong. How do I move this thing? Oh, cool. Well, that's handy. Amazing. Discovery Live. I said it wasn't going to be exciting. Yeah, I think the Toon Squid looks really promising, and I think you can do that cut out pieces, sort of slightly, go back 10 years, how I used to animate in what is now Animate. You can do that really easily and well in it. Um, I just probably would say maybe it gets in the way of things that what's going on here. Um, maybe gets in the way of things that are if you want to just do hand animation or practice animation really quickly, I'd probably say it's like maybe going to get in the way of a few things. Um, just the processes. Cool. Right, so squash. Right, let's see what we've got in the roughs. Because I'm going to skip this pose, and then I'm going to go into the spin. And I want to draw that pose first. One of the things I really like about Callipeg is when you create a new frame, it creates a really thin, and depending on how zoomed out you are, it can be really, really fine like this. But if you double tap on it with the pencil, it gives you these very easy to select handles that allow you to drag it out. And then it highlights it in this easy to read gold. So it's quite easy to target what you're working on and like go around working on this frame and so on. So I'm going to try and draw this. I'm just going to pull this back here just so I can chuck the onion skin on. And then to do onion skin in this software, you can double tap and adjust the opacity of things. I don't actually need to have that there. I can have it right over here. So I've got to turn onion skin on here on the tie downs like layer. And then I can adjust it. I should be able to. There we go. So nice and light volume stuff. So one of the things that for me is being able to, animate on the go. Just quickly pull out the iPad, do a few frames because there's no like starting up, booting up, sitting down, plugged in, that kind of thing. It's amazing how it works. So that's huge for me. Now, where are we with this? And the thing with this project is it's quite like if I've not been doing, you're just saying somebody a second ago about getting back into animating. If I've not been animating much, or I'm a bit rusty, or I think the project is a bit challenging, um, for first and foremost for me, I want it to be fun, especially if it's a personal project. I talked about this a lot in this Animators Way course, and then the animation workshop thing that I did afterwards. But it's like for me, and I think it makes sense when you think about it, if you're doing a personal project or anything that's not work, like we're going to say like home life or your life or what you want to do, like your passion and everything, and then you've got stuff that pays the bills. And we get into animation or illustration or creative jobs because we like the idea, especially we normally start it when we're young, but you like the idea and the dream of doing something you enjoy or you love and getting paid for it. But as you get older, you sometimes forget like that thing about, but I do it because I love it, and you kind of sometimes get manipulated a little bit into doing things for less money, and then it kind of makes it a bit of a blurred boundary between, am I doing this for my own joy or for the money, or is it somewhere in between? But then you stop enjoying it because you don't like the work as much. So if the work doesn't become the thing that you want to do and you're not getting paid that well for it, then you're sort of in this weird gray area. Um, and so for me personally, I would rather try and do something that, okay, I am all in because I really love this and I'm getting paid for it. And it's, it's not going to make me a millionaire, but it's paying the bills. Or if I'm getting paid well for it, I'll take something on maybe that's a little bit towards the don't like it as much. But what I want to avoid is doing things that are kind of like quite consuming, and yet they're in that bracket of it's meant to be a job I love. For me, I'd rather just separate job and personal stuff, and the personal stuff is just really my thing. Like it can be whatever. I don't have to be really precise. I don't have to answer to clients. I can keep it really rough. I can whatever I want to do in terms of storytelling, I can play with, and that's for me, and nobody's paying me for that. It's on my time. And then I find that in the paid stuff, um, I'm more open to doing things that they want because they're paying for it. It's their money. So it's if I'm doing like client work or anything like that. So or work for a company, because when you work for a studio, you are basically selling your time and skill set, but you are selling your time to them. You come home exhausted because you've spent yourself creatively doing all their thing and putting everything in, and like you should, but it's that's the compromise. So when you do your personal projects, it's like you don't want to do one step from what you do at work. You want to do the real extreme. Like this is really what I want to do. And when you're working in a studio, you might be like, I don't even want to touch a pencil outside of the studio because I'm doing enough there. That's fine as well. You might go, I'm going to bake apple crumble every weekend because that's going to satisfy me creatively for this period. I want to do cleaning, whatever it is. It's up to you. There's just a lot of pressure for people who are creative to just endlessly make more stuff in their spare time, and it's just not always possible. So, yeah, for me, I try and do stuff that I am into, and then at least I'm motivated to do it. I'm basically excusing my really ratty drawings. I've still not got like 100% used to the drawing on a screen. Something like that. We might not go with that little grin. That looks horrible now. I'm going to get rid of that because it's nasty. And I'm going to just draw in. I wonder if I can make it really kind of funny. Maybe we can do something with the hands and the arms. Not a big fan of that term. Squash. Alex, if you are still there, is your how is your project moving along? How are things going? I think what I'm going to do, rather than go from like the energy wise, it's going, there's a spin here anyway, and it's down, squash. And I've got this kind of like silly pose where the character's going to like flip back up. So I think we'll just go ease into that, then boing. And I'll see if I can create this feeling of it going bada bada bada. Might be a tricky one because I kind of want that to happen a bit earlier anyway, because the action here is very fast. Boop, 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 boop. Let's go with this. Thank you everybody for sticking with me on this stream, by the way. I'll go a little bit over the 3 o'clock mark because started late. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to write it in the chat as well about or anything they want to share. No pressure, of course, but just being polite. Cool. Whilst that's creating a backup, Alex Industry question. Do you think TB, Toon Boom, is still the most popular? Or do you think there are other softwares rising? Yeah, 100%. There's loads of nothing is ever going to stay the same. Like we go back 20 years and cell action was really dominant in 2D. Flash was being used, or 15 years. Flash was being used loads. Um, uh, Toon Boom was not Toon Boom as we see it today. There's a lot of ink and paint stuff going on. Hand drawn was still kind of big, but then 5 years before that, everyone said 2D was like dead, and then 10 years ago, it was kind of on revival. Now there's a lot of hand drawn stuff. You see it in like adverts and things. There was an advert for Habito, I think it's called, an insurance company, and it was all hand drawn, looked really cool, much more like comic, individual style. You're seeing people who are on YouTube getting TV series made. Like that is crazy that you from your bedroom can literally make make it all the way across. We have all the tools now, so I think yes, it's changing. It depends a little bit. Like I feel from my experience that it goes in trends. I definitely think Blender is huge. It might not be on everybody's radar, but that is definitely going to be dominant as far as I'm concerned, just because of how it works. It taps into that idea of collaboration. Um, I'd love to hope it's going to always stay open source. I can't imagine that somebody's not going to compete with it in some way or another, at some point. But Blender does its thing, and Moho obviously is doing great things in the 2D side of things. It's a little different to Toon Boom, especially like the drawing side. So they overlap, but they sit in slightly different brackets. I don't think it's ever good for any one company in any situation, not just animation, to have like domination of the market. We have things in here in the UK and the US, I believe, and where you can't have too much power as a company. Like they'll block mergers if it's going to create too much power for one company, even though let's not look at pharmaceuticals too heavily. But and things like Procter and Gamble and all those places. But it's just, I think, it's good to have competition. So I'm just catching up on the chats. Oh yeah, the Moho Magic course, Danny's course on Adam's Animation Academy. We have the animation one and we have the rigging one starting in September. And obviously it's really big. I think that when they released when they released Moho 14, which is coming up to 2 years ago in November, it really sparked a lot of people's kind of like creative indie feel, because it had this feeling that you could make things quite textured, look like it's made in a sketchbook by hand. It was less kind of like clean cut and corporate, and well, not necessarily corporate, but like TV networky. And just my analysis is kind of that's taken off because as one, like Moho is just a single purchase, whereas Toon Boom is a subscription thing and it's quite expensive. But it's expensive because it's used everywhere. So it's one of those things, like you can get away with differences, whereas when you're the underdog, you tend to have to like gain the crowd a bit more. Not that Moho is like a massive underdog, but you know what I mean. It's just in the 2D animation world in studios, I would say from my experience, it's not as widely used. Harmony's done a big job on marketing. They're kind of ahead a little bit because Moho was Anime Studio, I believe. So yeah, I think 2D, look out for Moho. I think that thing's going to be a tool to your arsenal that would definitely be useful to know. It's also got a softer learning curve, I believe, personally. And then on the wider side, Blender, definitely would have a look at that. But that's a lot to learn. I'd probably just stick to a couple of 2D software and be good at that. Cool. Good to hear you're still chipping away on the project, Alex. Angus asked about, do you plan to bring your animation Callipeg into Toon Boom Harmony, or Is it capable of generating finished animation? Yeah, totally capable. I mean, this is a little bit like, you can see I've done it quite sketchy. Oops, don't know what I've done there. I've done it quite sketchy, but it's definitely fine to export. You know, just go up here, export, blah, 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 bang, export audio. You can even record the audio in here. You can just put your mic, sing. That's exactly what I did with this, and sing my little song. And it gave me like a rough track, which is somewhere. Where is that rough? Oh, it's at the top. There you go. The audio is turned off. I shall not be giving that out to everybody on the internet to listen to straight away. But yeah, it's totally capable. And to be honest, like on this iPad, I have Callipeg, Rough Animator, and ToonSquid, and all together, I think one was like £12 or $15 sort of thing. One's like $5 to $10, and the others, you know, like in Procreate Dreams, it's so a Procreate Dreams is almost the cost of two of them, and even then, it's less than £50 for me to own everything. So it's an absolute arsenal of animation software on one device, and it works really fast. I've not had really any crashes from this software or other software, so it seems to work really nicely. Well, let's turn these roughs off. So I'm trying to think about it like as a flat board. I'll add some weight to it. Maybe lag those eyes. It's like pushing his chest through. I'm probably going to drop the arms down before we go into this pose. So they're going to go down, da, la, la, and then somewhere kind of like down here. Ding. Oh no, actually, we'll go for something like this. Cool. So whilst I'm just doodling away, I'll tell you about the other stuff, so you know. So on Tuesdays, I'm doing character rigging live, which is in Toon Boom Harmony, and I do a building of a character, like something that's going to be kind of complex, nothing too crazy and nothing too specific. I'm trying to keep it quite generic, so we can swap things out like props and things and colors and of the clothing and bits like that. That's on Tuesdays, same time, 2 p.m. UK time, and that goes into gets archived after the stream as well. But it's really good if you can join the stream, because you can ask me questions when I'm doing it at the time. And then we've got this one, Co-work Wednesdays. on Wednesdays. Just going to keep doing them for as long as possible. This one I won't be able to do next week because I am doing an animation demonstration for like families and about during a 2D animated film during the break. I'm going to show them how we do animation, do some animation tasks, zoetropes, maybe some kind of like flipbooky stuff, things like that. So that should be fun. But I won't be able to do next week on Wednesday. So probably I might do it in the morning, or I might just skip a week. I'll decide and post about it. But and then I've got a plan for something in the future, which is going to be a bit more of like a less digital, kind of like on computers. Although iPad stuff is okay, but not like working on being too software specific. About making artwork in kind of a relaxing, kind of like a weekend thing, just chilling out and doing stuff. And that'll be me doing probably some sketchbook stuff. I'll show you actually. I've got it on here to the side of me. So like, for example, my dog outside getting stressed because I'm in here and he can't come in. Stuff like this. So this is, if you can see, like little sketches as one of my little boy there when he was younger. This was done in a van traveling around Europe last year. And I only took pencil crayons and stuff with me. And so it was because I normally use watercolor quite a lot. Don't know if I have any watercolor stuff in here. This is quite a new sketchbook, not filled very much up. There's this one from when I went away to a place called Seascale. It's a weird name on it, but it was I just had a black pen with me, and it was a sketch. It was quite moody at night, and there's a big, I think it's a nuclear power plant down the beach. It's really eerie, so it's kind of a holiday destination, but also very industrial feeling. So something like that, me sketching, pen, ink, watercolor, bit of nice music. That's potentially going to be on a Sunday. So I'm going to chuck that out there. I want to do it really around the end of summer, autumn time, that transitional thing, and try and make it this thing that it's something you can tune into, kind of like this co-work thing, but a bit more, put it on in the background. We're going to do some art, see if we can get some other people on, maybe go around, do it live from different places. So I'm going to experiment with that in the coming months. Oops. Didn't even realize I switched that. So the thing I like about 2D animation is you can just be like quite, like the stuff from the 90s, Nickelodeon and stuff. Where it's quite, there's not this thing about being on model and that kind of, you can still tell it's a character, but it can be very interpretive and very funky and weird looking. Cool. Let's try this one with the hands down like this at the bottom. Boom, 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 boom. This is why I stop making noises as I animate, because I try and like get an idea for the rhythm. I think that needs to be kind of like stretched like that a little bit. Cool. And then probably would do a, can I move that? Do we think? Oh yes. turn on this one, push it a little. And then we'll think about like doing a little boom, 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 backwards and forwards. See, one of the things that I, like when I thought about doing this, I was like, oh, this could be a real nightmare if it goes wrong, because there's something about making or drawing or anything creative, doing it live or having somebody watch you. It's like really nerve-wracking. You have this like fear of judgment, like it's just right there. It's like in your throat, it's you kind of, oh no, what if it's not going to work, or what if I do something wrong and people are going to see and they're going to say I'm not very good. And I think that's the block. That's the thing that stops you animating, drawing, making stuff, and then it gets into your psyche and it just makes you take safe choices to avoid, a little bit of failure. But it's not failure. Let's be honest. It's like playing with something and not working out perfectly first time. And like realistically, that is, I have to remind myself, that is creativity. It's doing things and trying new things. And you think about like some of the greatest musicians, and they've got like some pretty, well, it's obviously very subjective, but some albums out there, and you're like, I'm not sure that one was a hit. Like I didn't like that one so much, and then some people love it. So it's about doing that sort of thing. Andrew saying about when you used to have meetings working in the industry, have your technical director watching you do something and you'd forget every shortcut and method. Yeah, I know what you mean. So I'm trying to, what I was getting at was I'm trying to sort of bust that out a little bit. Because what's the worst that can happen? Somebody gives you an opinion that doesn't, really represent themselves. I've had my experience of trolls already, so it's doesn't bother me. Well, it will bother me, but it's just one of those things. It's like I don't want to have the regret of like not just trying stuff, making stuff, and it's not really about doing YouTube live things and stuff. It's about making films, but I think it helps me progress because it's like a way of putting it out there, and also then you discover all these other nice people who are kind of going, I'd like to do the same. And it's really nice to hear feedback when people say, yes, it helped me do this. Yes, it helped me move on to the next step. So like Alex, smashing it, like just beavering away with this little project in the background. And it's awesome. And it's really nice to see. So it's very inspiring. I think we'll go for a little closed mouth. And then with this one, we'll really push this up. Let's maybe think about these eyes going down a little bit more. There's also something about the simplicity of like how the iPad works. I don't have the control that I do on a normal pencil. So it's difficult, but I can be really loose and I understand what I'm looking at. That's really the most important thing. That has not worked. Cool. I wonder if I go down here with it. Maybe that might work. I always think as well with 2D, you can get away with the most random poses. Like you can do some really weird stuff on screen, like this one here. what's going on with these eyes, and yet when I put that in motion, 24 frames a second or whatever, you're just gonna not even see it. Ding. So I'm trying to be brave with this, push it as much as possible. Try not to lose all sense of proportion. That hat has grown massively. Yeah. I mean, I just like it as well when you look at some of the old Bugs Bunny cartoons, especially, or any Warner Brothers stuff like Bob Clampett directed. He was a big fan of like a weird pose, like a real bizarre character pose. I know Chuck Jones's book, Chuck Amok, talks about no frame being the same, like literally, even if you're drawing the same pose, making it a bit different, which I really like from an organic point of view. But also, that means like everything is art, which is very high to attain. But it just shows you in the turnarounds they were working in at Termite Terrace, it was still kind of like a thing that they were pushing for this. It's like what I was saying about you either push for the best you can do, or like just don't, like don't sit in the middle ground where you're not really happy with it, or you're not really 100%. And obviously there's sometimes compromises, but I think that idea of, especially if a pose goes static or it's readable, to make it a bit like I'm thinking of some ones where Bugs has got a really funny expression on, and it just makes kids laugh. I mean, it makes adults laugh, but definitely when you show it to a kid and they have no filter, they just burst out laughing because they're like, it's so silly, and I really like that. And for me, that's something that animation is always going to be a human process, because only humans can do that. We just have to not lose that feeling, not become too clinical and sterilized with movement and animation, and like just remember it's the theater of the screen. It can do literally anything. So it's if you can get into that and make that kind of stuff, definitely not going to be a millionaire doing that kind of thing, but you're probably going to be happier with the work you do. I know I enjoy it more when I'm pulling faces at things and trying to do cool stuff. And at the very least, you can do doodles whilst you work of your co-workers or the characters. I love doing that on productions, making bizarre drawings of the characters in the production, like that are off model. That's always fun. Cool. That's a bit of a fat frame there. I need to pull that across a bit. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up now because we've kind of hit the 1/4 mark. Yeah, just gone past. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I'll just do a little bit more. Let's try and work out the hands in this one. Yeah, let's go with rip. Ding. Yeah, so it kind of like snaps into model again at the end. Bing. Cool. So I'm going to start. I mean, that says tie down. This is not a tie down. This is like a rough, but I've totally changed what I'm doing. I can just add more layers. It's all right. And you'll see already as well that my model is kind of loose. That's the clean there. So I'm not being like super specific because, hey, it's my own project. I can do what I want. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for joining this session. I will make a decision about next week. Having a troll encounter is a rite of passage. Good, I'm glad. Yeah, thanks very much, everybody. Let me go to the webcam view. Cool, there we go. Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm going to try and see what we can do next week. Maybe I can do it it might be a bit earlier, like in the morning, but it might be too much for the week. So I might just postpone it and do it the week after. But I want to keep you up to date with what I'm doing with this. And if anybody's interested in Callipeg or whatever, let me know in the comments. I can always put together a little how-to using video. It's quite simple, but there's enough in there to get you started. I'm pretty sure Benjamin, the person who runs it, does some really good videos as well. So have a look and check it out. Anyway, thanks everybody, and I shall hopefully see you next time for either the rigging one or the co-work Wednesdays. Thanks again, everyone. See you soon. Bye.